We're getting
Villarreal Show. Now, here's John.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, and it is Monday, first Monday right here in May. Unbelievable. Cinco de Mayo was yesterday. It's awesome, and we're having a great Monday right now all over the greater Tampa Bay area. So many things to talk about here on Newstalk 1040. Did you see the roast of Tom Brady? The GOAT was out there. Greatest of all time was out there and doing it. And I mean, you had Kevin Hart, you had Gronk was there, you had all kinds of people that were there. It was unbelievable. Randy Moss. It was crazy. It was crazy. I didn't watch all of it. I watched a little bit of it and saw some other clips. Dana White. It was just nuts. We're going to talk about that. Oh my goodness. And I mean, it started hot and it didn't let up. That was really awesome. Hope everyone's having a good time right now on Newstalk 1040 out there. I'm here in Sarasota, wherever you are, downtown St. Pete, downtown Tampa, Clearwater, Lakeland. It doesn't matter. Wesley Chapel, Brandon, Bradenton, all over the place here and live on X, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and live on Rumble, of course. And we are just doing it right now. Now, we are joined by Paul F. Villarreal. Lots to talk about. This whole election is heating up. You've got situations out there with RFK Jr. You've got the polls. The polling is just massively going towards Trump. It's not letting up. It's getting stronger and stronger, in my opinion. CNN is freaking out. Other places are freaking out. They're talking about, is there going to be a debate? Is there not going to be a debate? We also have the Candace Owens situation, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro. There's now been reporting by Glenn Greenwald of a gag order. Wow. So on the one hand, they were talking about, yeah, we're going to do debate and we're negotiating and blah, 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 and all this type of stuff. And then there was a gag order, allegedly, that was sought by the Daily Wire, went to the arbitrator for the non-disparagement clause. This is my personal opinion, my recollection, paraphrase of reporting done by Glenn Greenwald. And that he has a Rumble show, I believe. He's out there in Rumble. I think he does Signal. I can't remember what his show is called. I do apologize. He does some great reporting, and I know he's got some great sources. So I am not doubting this reporting whatsoever. I don't know. I'm not verifying anything. I'm just saying that Glenn Greenwald. Let me put it another way. Let me revise and extend that. Glenn Greenwald has proven to be an excellent reporter, in my opinion, and he is reporting this. I don't know anything more than that, but this is an explosive story, in my opinion, if true. And a lot of people are reacting to this. This has gotten tremendous blowback on the net, on X. It's out there. People are talking about it. People are talking about it on Rumble. I know, we've had Russell Brand, who's big on Rumble, has talked about it. We've had a lot of people have been, the Hill, a lot of people have been talking about this one. Patrick Bet David, and the PPD podcast. It's big. It's really big. We have situations going on in the Middle East. We've got stuff over there in Rafah. We're going to talk about that. So much to talk about. And we have to talk about this economy. The rates are staying higher for longer. We are now turning towards the summer. And people are, the housing is going to come back. You talk to the real estate people. We're seeing inventory creep up. We're seeing inventory come on. We are seeing reports out there that, Florida may be one of the places that is susceptible to a market correction. We're seeing the inventory rates rise very rapidly in places like Sarasota, in places in different parts of Florida. Things are happening. Things are moving in the market. We're seeing unusual rails. A lot of people are talking about, hey, I'm renting. I don't think I'm going to be able to own a home. It's getting very, very serious out there. And that's the thing, is that they're trying to. James Carville, longtime Democrat strategist, obviously part of the Clinton team way back when he was running for office and stuff like that, for president. And now he's getting mad, getting frustrated with the young people, because the young people are not going Democrat. They're not falling for the propaganda. They're basically saying my life sucks. And we're seeing that, in my opinion. We're seeing that in TikToks. We're seeing that on posting on social media. We're seeing that on YouTube. We're seeing people say, there's also a pending TikTok ban. What about that? So much going on. And in fact, there was reporting that one of the people, I think there was reporting that one of the people that was signing on to the voting for the TikTok ban was doing potentially some trades in Meta, because if TikTok gets banned, the surveys out there that people are going to go to Meta. A lot of weird things happening out there. There's also a lot of kerfuffle. You've got MTG, you've got stuff going on. I think the whole speaker thing and Speaker Johnson, I think that's kind of quieted down, but you still have a lot of people that were not happy with the foreign aid bill, the 100 billion, whatever it is, some to Ukraine, some to Taiwan, some to, there's different things going on right there. There is a disquiet is what I'm talking about. There is a disconnect between what's happening in Washington, D.C. and what people are feeling. And people don't care what The View or George Stephanopoulos or any of these people are talking about, because they know when they go to buy a gallon of orange juice, it's about $8. They know when they go buy, some eggs have kind of moderated a little bit, but so many things, other things have not. Whether it's gas or whether it's talking about $8 a gallon gas in California. California has net lost people. We still have situations going on in the border. There is a lot going on out there. And we're bringing in Paul Villarreal right now. Paul, what's going on? Trump's been doing rallies. There's been back and forth with the judge. It seems like the judge, Merchan, has backed off a little bit, potentially, in my opinion. I'm not making any commentary on the proceedings over there, but there's a lot of people, whether it's Greg Jared, Professor Turley, Professor Dershowitz, and others, that are basically saying that this New York case is kind of a joke. What's your take?
Well, I'll tell you, Judge Merchan just came today with the thing basically doubling, no, I wouldn't say a double down, essentially saying that he will or is considering putting President Trump in jail if he violates the gag order more, in the opinion of Judge Merchan. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Andy McCarthy, the former federal prosecutor, recently, and essentially said that Judge Merchan knows that if he puts Trump in jail for the gag order, that would be a massive political mistake that would help President Trump. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Can I say something? Wait. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just apologize for interrupting. I want to understand. I want the Newstalk 1040 audience to really hear this. What exactly do you say? Who was making the commentary there about the political impact of that? Was that a commentator, or was that Judge Merchan?
That was retired or former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy of National Review, who is also a Fox contributor. So, he has a very good legal mind. And he basically was saying, look, I don't think Judge Merchan really wants to do this, because he understands that would be a political gift to President Trump if he put him in jail for the gag order, which many people don't even think is constitutional. So that was Andy McCarthy's take on all of this.
Got you. It makes sense to me. I mean, you can't have a situation. Listen, we've never seen this before, and I'm showing it right now. I'm showing this is Fox News. We got a picture of President Trump here. Fox News. Okay, headline. The number one story here, quote, no smoking gun. Former headline, former Trump attorney praises Judge Merchan, but points to key problem in New York case so far. And in fact, in my opinion, Paul, that's a generous reading of it, because you've got so many other people, legal experts, that are saying that this is a bad situation in there, that this case is falling apart. You've even had some liberal people saying that, they shouldn't have led with this case. How many cases? Every time there's a case, it's like, that's not the case we should have led with. And you look at, there was also over the weekend, I believe, issues with the documents case and Jack Smith. And apparently I gotta find that. I want to make very clear about what I'm saying here. But I think there was like, on the one hand, they said everything was in order to the judge there, and then on the other hand, it's like, well, no, this and some things may not be. I don't want to misspeak here. This is my recollection, my paraphrase of it. I may have to revise and extend it. I'm not alleging anything, but it was something to the effect of like, all the things may not be intact or something. Like, what's going on, dude? I mean, that's very, very crazy. You've got a documents case, and you don't have everything tight and right. Did you see that, Paul? Am I misremembering that?
No. That is correct. My understanding of the situation is that there may have been issues with the security of what was in or supposedly in these various files that Trump had. In other words, there may have been a problem with the security chain of what was actually contained in those files. The thinking being there may have been tampering with what was supposedly in them. In other words, how can you, if that's the case, if there was a breach in the link of maintaining what was supposedly in these boxes, how can you come after President Trump if you don't even know what was in there, or if you don't even know if what was in there was changed? I think that is the concern that's going on, and of course, that's going to have huge repercussions for the case. Now,
So,
coming back to this,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Let me just say this quickly.
No,
on the
go.
York
You're
case.
fine.
Look, I have paid attention to, of course, this trial is not televised, but I have paid attention to reports of what is going on during the case. And I will say this about Judge Merchan. I do think he's a competent judge. I do think he's an intelligent judge. I do think he knows, he's a good judge, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a fair judge. And I think that that's part of what people are thinking here. So that person on Fox News, the headline, Judge Merchan's really good. Well, yeah, he's very competent, but you can be competent and still have a bias. And I think that's part of the concern. Now, what you're saying about the merits of the case, I heard somebody talking, another federal prosecutor, Katie Tchaikovsky, was on Fox this morning. And basically she said, look, every witness that's being called here by the prosecution is ending up helping Trump. And so this case is getting weaker and weaker.
Yeah, Hope Hicks, right? I mean, that how did that go?
Yes.
I mean, right.
Not well.
Yeah. So this is what we're talking about right here. And this is from Politico. And in my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily call Politico a bastion of conservative commentary. Okay. And this is from Politico. Let's see here. This is by Josh Gerstein and Kyle Cheney, May 3rd. Okay. And this was updated later that night. Okay. So we've got, and this is May 3rd. So that was Sunday, Monday. So you're talking about a Friday night type of article here. Okay. Headline: Prosecutors' docs in boxes seized from Mar-a-Lago were inadvertently jumbled. It sounds like a pretty interesting way of phrasing that. Special counsel Jack Smith's team acknowledged mischaracterizing the issue at a recent hearing in Trump classified documents case. And what they said is that basically they had talked to the judge, U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, that they told U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon that the boxes remain, quote, in their original intact form as seized. And then later, they had to say that, quote, there are some boxes where the order of items within the box is not the same as the associated scans. Oh, okay. And a footnote, quote, the government acknowledges that this is inconsistent with what the government counsel previously understood and represented to the court. Interesting. It just seems like it's just getting worse and worse there, dude. I mean, what are we talking about there? This is very, very strange that's going on there. And they're talking about, okay, some things could have shifted. I mean, who knows? I don't want to be too overly critical here, but I mean, there's questions that are being raised on all of these cases against Trump. It just seems to all be falling apart. And I think if we're talking to the polling, people just don't care, Paul. People just don't care. There's still this hope held out that if there's just a conviction on Trump, then that's going to impact stuff. I think that ship has sailed. And I think that you've also had, Trump and DeSantis getting together at Mar-a-Lago. You've got DeSantis out there and stuff. Now, we haven't seen Nikki Haley. I guess Nikki Haley is hanging out in the think tank or something like that, or Hudson Institute or whatever it is. But I mean, like, no one's waiting, holding their breath for Nikki Haley. We will talk about the Trump VP situation. We will also talk about Governor Nome. That was some crazy stories right there. But what do you make of this whole Jack Smith situation? Well, what do you make of all the trials so far? Because a lot of people are saying that, well, on the liberal side, well, Biden's out there campaigning and Trump's not. We took Trump off the campaign trail. But in fact, it doesn't seem to be hurting Trump in the polls, Paul. So where do you assess the legal situation for Trump politically, and what do you think about where we are politically in general with the polls and the momentum for Trump?
Okay, two things. Number one, they're in this new ABC poll, ABC Ipsos, which had Biden, I believe, +4. This came out yesterday. Let me just say that the pollster I refer to frequently, Rich Barris, who's a very good pollster, is extremely dubious about that poll. Let me just say that. In that poll, it basically said that maybe 20% or up to 20% of the people supporting Trump could reconsider their vote if he is convicted in this trial. Well, first of all, again, this is perhaps not the greatest poll in the world in terms of how it was done. Second of all, 20% isn't that much. And those are people said that they might reconsider. So that really doesn't mean anything. This isn't having a big effect. And I have seen multiple interviews with voters in swing states essentially saying they don't care about this trial. This trial doesn't mean anything. And I've actually seen people say they're upset about this trial. They're not mad at Trump. They're mad at the Democrats for putting him through this. So I think that this case is not having the effect that they wanted. So that's number one. Number two, okay, you said Trump, we got Trump off the trail and all this stuff. There was a report yesterday, I can't remember who said it, but it definitely a credible report saying that Team Biden is worried. They are concerned that Trump is not on the trail and is in a courtroom. Why? Because then he's not making any mistakes or any supposed mistakes that they can make hay out of. What I'm thinking of in particular was when Trump was in Ohio in March, and he did that whole thing about the automotive industry and how big that blew up. Well, if he's not on the trail, he can't do that. And so they're starting to be concerned about that. So now it's the law of unintended consequences. You wanted him in the courtroom, and now he's in the courtroom, and maybe that's not working out great for you.
Very interesting. And here we've got a statement right here, and that further in that article in Politico, you've got Trump's response that was made on, I believe, True Social. Okay. And this is a mix of their writing and the Trump quote. I'll try to get this right here. They talked about talking about Smith, quote, and his team committed blatant evidence tampering by mishandling the very boxes they use as a pretext to bring this fake case, unquote, Trump said, accusing prosecutors of, quote unquote, deeply illegal actions that could trigger dismissal of all charges, unquote. That was from the article. Definitely very, very, very Trumpian language there. Very Trumpian.
He's saying that. We're not, but he is.
He's saying that. We're not saying that. We're definitely not saying that. We're not commenting on the situation or the case at all. But Paul, it just shows that Trump is. You have a situation. Here's the thing. You are, and I think you know the polling here. You've got polling out there, I believe I saw, where a majority of people believe that all these cases against Trump are political. I think it was something like 60% or something. It was a high percentage, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, something like that.
It's something like that. And Trump is able to use these things to his advantage. And he's really pushed it. And in fact, he's not the only one. You've got Representative Stefanik. We're getting close to a break right here from New York, and some have said that she's in the VP running. Others have said that maybe not anymore. But you've got on CBS News here, Representative Stefanik from New York is talking about, let's go to the headline here, and this is April 30th by Melissa Quinn and Olivia Rinaldi. You've got headline: Representative Elise Stefanik seeks probe of Special Counsel Jack Smith over Trump 2020 election case. And that basically, I don't have to find it in here, but something about that she is, okay, quote, Stefanik accused Smith of using federal resources to interfere in the 2024 election by pushing for a trial in Washington to take place before the election in November. And a lot of people have been questioning the timing of this trial. And in fact, there was an article, I think, by Byron York that said something. I think the headline was, Jack Smith's special counsel Jack Smith's in a hurry. He just can't say why, or something like that. That was my paraphrase. Paul, what do you make of people's sort of position on these trials? And look, there's people have talked about, like, there was people from the DOJ that then went into Bragg's office or something like that, I believe. There's just a lot of this stuff is just appearing a certain way to the public. More and more people are starting to feel like something's amiss here with all these trials swirling around President Trump. And in fact, the Supreme Court themselves have taken up the immunity situation, and they put a pause on it. And that turned the liberal media, MSM, into a tailspin as well. Your comments?
Yeah, look, I think simply that these trials are not having the effect on the public that I think some on the left were hoping that they would have. And Byron York, you mentioned him, he said for some time now, because I see it on Twitter, look, they want to be able to label Trump convicted felon or whatever it is. That's what they're looking for here. They just don't know if the average person is going to care about that, particularly in this current case in New York, when we're basically talking about a bookkeeping case. I mean, that's not interesting to a lot of people.
Right. And in this article here in CBS, they say, quote, prosecutors on Smith's team, however, said that conducting a trial involving Trump weeks before the presidential election would not violate the Justice Department policy. This is like the 60-day rule and some different things like that. Like, this is just kind of craziness, right? And look, this is the same thing. Maria Bartiromo I got to be quick. We got to wind this down right here. Has talked about on her Sunday Morning Future. She had Chairman Jim Jordan on, and she was kind of blasting him a little bit about saying, like, we're tired of the hearings. Like, you guys are in charge of Congress. You need to be doing something to step up and support Trump. Bannon in the War Room on Rumble said the same thing. Like, these people talk about raise money and all Trump, but what are they doing? What are they doing to have Trump's back in this? We're in the middle of an election. We've never seen this before. This is unprecedented in America. It happens in other countries and stuff like that. And we're seeing crazy stuff happen in like I said, in other countries. But we're here in America. I told you to get ready. I told you 2024 was going to be craziness, but it was also going to be the revenge of reality. And we're seeing that happen right now. So much more. Just the first segment down. This is the John D. Villarreal Show here on Newstalk 1040, live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X. Be right back at you in 6 minutes. Stay tuned.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. An Israeli military operation into the Gaza city of Rafah is now underway. This came after Hamas reached a ceasefire proposal, but that proposal not in line with Israeli demands. The head of the United Nations atomic watchdog has traveled to Iran, where his agency faces increasing difficulty in monitoring the Islamic Republic's rapidly advancing nuclear program, warning that Tehran has enough uranium enriched to near weapons-grade levels to make several nuclear bombs. That's if Iran chose to do so. On Wall Street, stocks did finish higher today. The Dow up 176 points. The Nasdaq gained 192. The S&P 500 adding 53. This is SRN News.
See, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. And maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that's huge. But It's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. See what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
I mean, things weeknights at 10
are happening right now that have no real rhyme or reason.
It's Ground Zero.
You see, here we are now at a point in history
with Clyde Lewis,
where we are seeing a lot of signs, a lot of wonders.
What's really happening?
I think the faithful can see the changes in the air. They can feel the changes in the air. And they know, regardless of push for the second coming, that there is something afoot.
Ground Zero.
We're always told that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Be ready. Look busy.
Weeknights at 10.
God's coming.
Newstalk 1040, Tampa Bay. Newstalk 1040, Tampa Bay weather forecast.
And good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alan Archer, Newstalk 1040, WHBO's Weather Center forecast. The weather stands pretty quiet here this week. Once again, we've got that big heat dome nearby, and the result, fair to partly sunny skies for today all the way through Thursday, with only a 10% chance of a stray afternoon, early evening thunder shower. While highs are running daily at around 90. Or overnight lows tonight are falling off at around 73. It looks like towards the end of the week, though, a cold front tries to make its way in here on Friday with a 20% chance of a thunder shower, left less humid and a little cooler on Saturday. I'm in a new storm system Sunday night with heavier showers and storms in Newstalk 1040 WHBO.
Gentlemen, have you been hitting the gym more this year, but you feel like you're not getting the results you want? It's frustrating, right? And if you're over 40, see, the problem might be low T. Testosterone is the primary hormone needed for building muscle. And if your testosterone's low, you'll be working twice as hard at the gym and not getting anywhere. So know before you go. Get your testosterone tested at C4MH.com. Just $45.
What's going on? Me and John D. Villarreal here on the John D. Villarreal Radio Show on Newstalk 1040 all over the greater Tampa Bay, Florida area. We also are live on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and X. I can see the chat here. If you want to chat to me live, go ahead and put stuff over here, and I'll try to respond to it. And there's so much stuff we're talking about. Excuse me. We were talking about the Trump legal cases. We were talking about just sort of the elections type of stuff. We also need to talk about, the big fundraising. We had the Palm Beach donor retreat. A lot of the VP prospects went down there in West Palm Beach, very close to us. And then Trump has been doing some big fundraising. That's part of the whole situation, I believe, with the discussion with Ron DeSantis. And you're seeing a lot of people coming home on that. Now, let's quickly talk about that. We do have to talk about the Candace Owens Daily Wire situation. That continues to get crazy, in my opinion. Paul, bring us up to speed very quickly here on the whole situation with the donor retreat and the Trump fundraising.
Yeah, so quickly on the fundraising, basically Trump raised $76 million in April, which was an increase over March, and he's putting up some big numbers now. They're starting to get real numbers. Now, they're still trailing the Biden campaign, but I think now the team feels pretty good that they're going to be able to be competitive with Biden in this contest rather than way behind. And look, they're running ads constantly. They're running digital ads all the time. I see stuff here all the time here on YouTube for Pennsylvania that targeted ads, obviously in the key swing states. So they're really happy with that. And there's plenty more fundraisers lined up. Now, the donor retreat in Palm Beach that took place this past weekend, Friday to Sunday. Yeah, you mentioned this was basically, a lot of this was like vice presidential tryouts. And it was also heavy hitters who are not vice presidential material necessarily, but who have money and have friends that have money. They were there. And I'm talking about people like Dave McCormick, who is running for the United States Senate here in Pennsylvania. Dave McCormick, I believe, his net worth's over $100 million. He was down there. Why? Probably maybe he was donating. Maybe he was bringing some friends who have money to donate. Vivek was down there. Now, I don't know if Vivek is still in the mix with the VP, but Vivek is certainly in the mix for big money. He's got money, and I'm sure he's got friends that have money. He was there. People that I'm not saying he's not in the VP contest. It's just I haven't heard his name mentioned in that in a while. People that are supposedly in the mix for that position, at least Stefanik, who you mentioned earlier, J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio, Senator Marco Rubio, those guys were all there. Kristi Noem, who was possibly in the picture and now does not look to be in the picture, she was there, although she left early. Those guys were all down there. A couple other people were down there. Apparently it was very successful. People seemed really happy with it. Various people that were at the event went on the Sunday show. Stefanik, Rubio, I don't know about Vance, Doug Burgum. He was there. His name's mentioned as a VP. He's also a very wealthy individual. He was there. Look, I'll say this about Burgum. He's everywhere. I mean, he's on all the shows all the time.
He's been out a lot.
On Fox this morning. Yeah, he was on CNN yesterday. So he's all over the place. So I definitely think he's getting traction. Rubio was on Fox News Sunday yesterday, and what Shannon Bream asked him, because this had been brought up in a Bulwark article, was, hey, Senator Rubio, would you be willing to leave Florida, your residency, in order to become Trump's vice president? With the thing of the 12th Amendment, you can't have two people from the same state, the whole electoral aspect of that. Apparently now Trump has residences everywhere around the U.S. He could move. What this article said is that he's not interested in moving. And so maybe Rubio, who of course is a senator from Florida, so maybe that would change. I'm not sure. Would he be interested in moving? He kind of danced around it, didn't really say anything. I don't think he wanted to, kind of put himself as the front runner or anything. So he didn't really answer, but that's being discussed. Look, what I have heard about Rubio in terms of Trump with him is I actually heard that he and Rubio get along pretty well. And I think Trump knows Rubio's the only, Latino pick that's kind of in the mix here. And Rubio speaks Spanish. So there's different things that he's bringing, as well as Rubio. The donors like Rubio a lot. So Rubio could probably bring a bunch of money to the Trump campaign if he were the vice presidential nominee. So that's kind of what's happening.
It also begs the question, Paul, at this point in 2024, how much does a vice presidential pick mean? Now, you could see it the other way too, which is to say in 2024, it might mean everything because you've got a situation where you've got Trump who can only do one more term. Oh, both Trump and Biden can only do one more term. And, this would probably, I don't want to misspeak, but I mean, I think this is probably the race, the presidential race where we have two of the age wise are, we're talking about the highest age of both candidates, certainly combined. I believe that's right.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. And listen, I mean, I think Trump is every bit on his game and there, and people say that Biden is healthy, but just numbers are numbers, and there's actuarial tables and stuff like that. I mean, who knows? You never know. You never know what's going to happen, right? I mean, I know technology is getting better, healthcare is getting better, and maybe at some point we'll all live to 120, 150. I don't know, but we're not there yet. And in fact, Jon Stewart made some comments, some very sharp comments, and about Biden. Headline, New York Post. I'm going to have to modify this. I'm just telling you that right now. Quote, Jon Stewart says Biden is blank old. He quote, shouldn't be president, unquote. So a lot of people are commenting on this. And so in that mix, the vice presidential pick might be very important. And I can remember when Biden first ran, they were calling it the Biden-Harris administration, really pumping up Kamala Harris. That's no longer the case because of the performance politically anyways, in my opinion, of Vice President Harris. But I think it is a factor here. How much of a factor do we think this vice presidential pick is right now for both parties?
Yeah, look, I think you make a really good point in terms of age and this being the last term that Trump could serve. What if they try? What if Trump what if Trump wins the presidency and then has a legal issue? That could happen. Look, I do think, a lot of times the vice president doesn't do a lot, doesn't change things a lot, doesn't change the equation a whole bunch. I will say this, and Anna Paulina Luna, who of course is congressperson from down in Tampa, was on Fox yesterday, and one of the things she said is that Latinos have felt left behind with Joe Biden. Essentially, that's what she said. And I saw a poll recently saying that Catholics are moving away from Biden, particularly Latino Catholics are moving away from him. And so in that respect, I think having somebody like Rubio could make a difference. Like I said, Rubio speaks Spanish. Rubio has an affinity for anti-communism. He understands what people from Cuba, from Venezuela, from different countries in Latin America who have dealt with socialism and stuff. He knows what they're dealing with. He understands that. So I think, look, I've never been a huge Marco Rubio fan personally, but I understand the appeal of him. And I think that he's the kind of person that might make a difference in that respect, as much as maybe anybody else could. If you're taking somebody like Doug Burgum, I personally think the top three people on the list right now are Rubio, Vance, and Burgum. Doug Burgum is a very moderate guy. He's a very likable guy. He almost has, people are like, oh, he's like Pence. No, Pence, in my opinion, had kind of like a fake niceness. Doug Burgum seems legitimately nice, friendly, affable, and so forth. You can send him to CNN. You can send him anywhere, and he's going to handle himself well. He brings something, and he's independently wealthy, so you don't have to worry about him. Is he going to try to make a buck telling stories, about you for a book, something like that? J.D. Vance, of course, son of Appalachia, rags to riches, Appalachia to the Ivy Leagues. He understands the Rust Belt voter. And of course, if you're trying to win in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, he could be an asset. Also, he's a very capable guy. I watched recently.
Go ahead. Yeah. I was going to say, finish that thought. I've got a lot to say. Go ahead.
I watched his recent speech about opposing the aid for Ukraine, and it was fantastic. Look, this guy's only 39 years old. I mean, he's not that old, but he's got a lot of ability. So I think each of those three is very skilled. And look, somebody like Stefanik, she's good. So yeah, that's why I think it is.
I got okay. So here's my comments on that. I don't love the Rubio pick. I think Rubio's come a long way. I think he has. No doubt about it. From when he was drinking the water thing with the response. And I'm not trying to be a punk. I'm just talking about just political effectiveness and the back and forth between Trump.
Or you mean little Marco?
The little Marco stuff and him and Trump, and he tried to out Trump and it just wasn't working. And also the closeness with the Bush team and Rubio was DeSantis before there was DeSantis, but nowhere near as effective. I mean, DeSantis, we've had our critiques of that as a campaigner, but the best governor in the history of Florida, and he's right back at it, going out there doing some stuff, and we're happy to have a big run back in the mix here. I would say, you think about it this way. We're going to win Florida. We're going to win, the GOP is going to win Texas. They're not going to win California. So when you talk about, I look, Anna Paulina Luna, APL, she's out there. She's doing some stuff. She's great. We definitely like APL, but it's like, how important is it? Now, you might say, okay, well, this is great. You can have if you're going to, you can really try to drive more Hispanics to the GOP, and that's fine. I think that's happening anyway. I'm still skeptical about what a vice president does for you. But if you were to name all three of those ones, who is most associated with interventionalists? Who is most associated? Because you've got Gang of A and the IC and the security state and the deep state and all that type of stuff. It's going to be Marco Rubio, and I'm not alleging anything. I'm just talking. I'm just saying that's what the positions and that's what the resume is. Okay, John McCain, Gang of Eight, right there, foreign policy. Marco is super against Cuba communism. He's super pro-Israel. He was probably I don't know about where he was on Ukraine funding. We need to understand where these vote. You know what I mean? Like did he vote for that? I think he did. I got to double check that. I'm not alleging anything. And so is he really America first in terms of these policies? And so, you don't want to have a situation where you've got a Pence or George Bush Sr. in the wings there to the Ronald Reagan or the Trump. You just don't want that. That is the absolute wrong pick. And it brings you not much. Now, that being said, I'm open-minded. Marco's moved a lot. And I've said that before. That's why I told Suarez. That's why I was saying to Suarez. I was, not personally, but that was why I was saying, how many times about a year ago, what did I say? You cannot be to the left of Marco Rubio and be viable in the presidential GOP contest. And I was right. And you've seen Marco shift to the right. I'm just telling you. That's why you listen to the show. People say whatever about me, whatever I'm wearing is that. Listen, I'm a super genius. I'm a political expert, and I've been ahead of the game. Look at the calls. All the receipts are there. I've been on point on this. I don't like Marco Rubio for the VP pick. I'm not against it. I'm open-minded, but I need to be persuaded. And the one who needs to be persuading me is Marco Rubio, okay? You need to be out there full blast and telling and making the case. Stefanik's out there making her case. Vivek was out there making her case. Marco's doing some stuff. How long has Marco been in the Senate? How long has he been in Washington? What have we done? And this is to Maria Bartiromo's point of we're tired of the hearings. We need action. We need someone that has President Trump's back. Now, Burgum, interesting, nice guy, billionaire, more America first, everything like that. But, where is he from? North Dakota, South Dakota? I don't know, something like that. I'm not trying to be a punk. Doesn't have the charisma. I'm not saying that's the end all be all, but if you're looking for someone to bring a younger voter in here, we're making big moves with the Gen Z, Gen Y, or whatever it is. And, Marco, I think there is, Marco can help, but then you go to Vance. Vance it's not so much a diss on either one of those. It's that Vance is so head and shoulders above both of them. It's not even funny. Vance brings you all of the intelligence and quick-wittedness and rhetorical capability, or very, very close, if not better in certain ways, than a Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy is fantastic. We love Vivek. But sometimes, and listen, it takes one to know one. Sometimes Vivek gets a little bit overheated with the flourishes and everything like that. And Vivek and JD Vance are Yale law graduates, and you can see why. Props and respect to both of them. I didn't apply to Yale, probably should have, but it is what it is. But I mean, listen, it all worked out. I got the best job I possibly could have gotten, other than teaching at a law school or something, or big political. It doesn't matter. It's not about me. I don't want to get swerved on that. But I've always respected Yale, and we can see why. In the law school stuff. Although recently there's been a lot of questions with a lot of these Ivies and stuff. We'll get to that. That's the next segment. That's it. We'll come back to the protests, everything like that. But JD Vance, when you think about America, Paul, you've been around a lot of places. I've been all over this country pretty much. I mean, there's very few states I haven't been in. It's like Pacific Northwest, type of, well, no, not Pacific Northwest, but sort of Northwest, type of stuff. But most of the states I've been at, I've lived a lot of different places. And when you talk about Appalachia, when you talk about rural, when you talk about the Reagan Democrats, there's a ton of those voters. They're just waiting for a reason to vote for Trump. You look at the union bosses when Trump was out there in New York City, came up, said, yeah, we haven't voted, we're voting for a Republican now. We're voting for Trump. When Trump was at the bodegas and stuff like that. I like Rubio. I think Rubio finds his way into the cabinet. I think Rubio's has come a long way. I think Rubio has a lot to contribute, but Rubio has to cross the Rubicon. Rubio has to have the come to Jesus meeting, so to speak, right? Metaphorically speaking. Rubio has to do that pivot the way Trump did. They used to love Trump. Trump was a Democrat in New York City. Trump was lauded. Schumer, Pelosi, all these people loved him. He was the billionaire from New York and all this type of stuff. But Trump understood that it was about MAGA. Trump understood you had to make that pivot. Trump, just like Reagan did. We need to see that from Rubio in regards to the GOPE, the deep state, interventionism, all that type of stuff. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen some positives, but is it just campaign stuff? Meanwhile, we've got JD Vance that stood up there in the face of all of them and gave one of the most eloquent speeches on Ukraine and why we shouldn't do this funding. And if you listen to Colonel Douglas McGregor, a lot of other experts, in fact, there was just an article about how there's a new wording and a pivot on Ukraine. So in other words, it may be, I'm not alleging anything, but it may be that the media is about to prepare to let people know that maybe this isn't going the right way in Ukraine, that maybe we're going to lose, that maybe as a proxy, whatever like that, that maybe it's not going to, and we authorize huge amounts of money. This is almost $100 billion. What are we doing? You've got kids that can't afford houses. You've got people that colleges are out. Now you're paying all this money for college. You can't go to college because of the protests. The economy is in terrible shape in a lot of ways. The jobs report, not looking great. GDP, not looking so good. Inflation up. It's looking like stagflation. So we need someone that's willing to get in there and have Trump's back. And guess what? A lot less likely to try to the lawfare games and move Trump out of there when you've got a JD Vance back, a young JD Vance backing him up. Paul, your comments. I know you've got a lot to say.
Yeah, look, I agree with all that. If I had to pick one person of those three personally, I would pick Vance. Now, I will say this. Rubio did vote against the Ukraine funding.
Good for
I think
Rubio.
that was his attempt. Yeah.
I'll give him props on that. Good job, Rubio.
I think that was his attempt to start coming to where he needs to be. Look, like I said, I've never been a big fan of Rubio for all the reasons that you mentioned. I will say this, though. Based on reporting, Trump likes Rubio. Apparently, when Trump was president, he worked well with Rubio.
I personally like Rubio. Listen, I'm in Florida. I'm no Rubio hater or anything like that. I want to be very clear about that. But there's a choice to be made. That's all that I'm saying. I'm not trying to punk out Rubio. I think Rubio's done a lot of good things. I think he can bring a lot to the table. I'll just say this real quick. I know we're tight on time. My view of Rubio is when he first got in, he was hot on fire, had the right zone, everything like that. And then, like a lot of people, maybe he got caught up in the Washington thing, and this is how we do it, and the world's oldest and best, most exclusive club in the Senate. And now he's starting to come out of that fog and find himself again, just like Ronnie D. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, and like I just said, coming back to Burgum, two things about Burgum. One, Trump likes him personally. But two, Burgum, I think, is viewed as somebody who will not try to steal Trump's thunder, like maybe somebody like Vivek
agree.
could try to.
Yeah,
do.
that's
the
right.
Number three thing is he's buddies with Bill Gates. Now, a lot of people say that's negative, but on the other hand, there's a whole bunch of money in the Bill Gates circle that could come in on Trump.
Interesting.
And so those are the things with him. But look, again, left to my own devices, I would pick J.D. Vance.
Well, and also to the Burgum thing, if you have now, Elon Musk behind you and Gates behind you, that can shift the balance of power and the focus out there and the MSM and with some of the Davos crowd and stuff like that. So that I did not know that. That is very interesting to know that. But
they are good friends.
Okay. Wow. Very interesting. So look, it's a very interesting thing. And Trump, and this is part of what, your strength is your weakness sometimes. Part of the whole thing is he the boardroom stuff and the buddy stuff and the country club stuff. And I think Trump kind of figured like, oh, let me get, and someone else said this too. Like, it wasn't Molly. It was, it was Kellyanne Conway on Bill Maher saying that, Trump made some mistakes in who he appointed, last time with some of the insiders that were kind of backstabbing. It's like, well, listen, if you're hiring someone for the job, you look for someone with experience, and those are all the people that had the experience. And so that's kind of a predisposition of Trump, I think. But I've seen that, I've known that in Silicon Valley and stuff like that. But I think that we may have lost Paul there for a second. We'll bring him in, and it's fine. We're up against a break anyway. We'll get him for the second hour. But I think that you still got to pick Vance. I think Vance, but listen, open-minded. Let's hear from them all. We still have time. Trump still has time. I don't think you need to rush any pick. Let's see what's going on. Let's figure it out. First hour in the can. Next hour, get ready to talk about candidates, Daily Wire, protests, all kinds of stuff. John D. Show live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Oh my God. We're about 30 seconds out here. Stand by. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's me, John D. Villarreal, and this is the John D. Villarreal radio show on Newstalk 1040. It is great to be with you here on May the 6th, day after Cinco de Mayo. Oh, my goodness. Day after the Tom Brady roast. That was so crazy. We're going to talk about that. It is 5:06. It is commuting time. Hope you had a great day. Hope you're having fun going home here. It's a beautiful day here in the greater Tampa Bay area. And we are also live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and possibly LinkedIn. We are also joined by Paul at Villarreal. Now, we have a big story here. It's been going on for a minute here. And Glenn Greenwald broke it. There was the whole Candace Owens Daily Wire parting of the ways. We've been talking about that for a while. We had Ben Shapiro going out there talking to some different people. We had Candace tweeting. There was supposed to be a debate. And then recently this happened. Glenn Greenwald on his show System Update broke this. It says exclusive, quote, Glenn Greenwald on X, quote, exclusive, and Rumble, exclusive as a Daily Wire publicly negotiated, a quote, exclusive, as a Daily Wire publicly negotiated a debate with Candace Owens. It secretly sought and has now obtained a gag order against her. Just craziness, absolute craziness. There's a New York Post article. We're going to dive into that in a second. I want to bring in Paul Villarreal. Hopefully he's here. We had some slight technical difficulties before. Paul, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, absolutely. We're gonna get in this New York Post article here, but I want to get your quick takes on this. I know a lot of people have been talking about this, and there's been tremendous blowback, and rightfully so, about this online. What's your take on this latest reporting from Glenn Greenwald?
Look, in all of this stuff, we've talked about it numerous times on this show and off the air. I have been a bit more sympathetic to Ben Shapiro, just because of for various reasons. There's no way, in my opinion, to defend this. You cannot go out and present yourself as actually seeking a debate with another person while you're trying to gag them under the table, which is what happened here. So I'm really happy that Glenn Greenwald broke this story. And what I've heard about it is exactly what I just said, which is people feeling like this is going to hurt Ben Shapiro. This is going to hurt the Daily Wire. They're not happy about this. And look, like I said, as someone who hasn't agreed a lot with Candace recently, this doesn't look good for Ben Shapiro. Looks like you're scared to debate. That's basically what it looks like. It looks like you're scared to have details come out about what actually took place with parting the ways with Candace Owens. If everything's on the up and up, why are you doing that? Why would you do that? And that's kind of my opinion.
Right. And we have the New York Post article here by Ariel Zilber. May 2nd, headline, Daily Wire obtains gag order against Candace Owens despite Ben Shapiro wanting debate report. And then it goes into some different details here. And there may be some statements and some denials by the Daily Wire. We'll get into that. We'll go through this here in a second. But to your point, this really goes to the charge, if you will, by comedian Andrew Schultz, who also was at the Tom Brady roast. We'll get into that here, and probably in the fourth segment, last segment. And where Andrew Schultz, and I don't have the clip. I could try to pull it up if I could. I can't guarantee I'm going to be able to get it. This is my very rough paraphrase, not a quote, but basically that Ben Shapiro's style. Andrew Schultz was basically insinuating, in my opinion, that Ben Shapiro styles himself as such a great debater and this and that and Harvard Law, but he's really just debating a bunch of college kids, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, this and that, whatever. And then some people would say when it comes time to debate, the adults, that they showed one time where Ben Pop Smoke, it was some British dude or something like that on a debate that maybe that, kind of making it seem like Ben's a chicken. And that's my, how do I want to say that? That is my very rough guesstimation, paraphrase of potentially the intent of the gist, if you will, not the intent. Let me say that the gist of what Andrew Schultz was saying. And when you have something like this, I'm not making any allegations. I'll be very, very clear about that. I mean, when I want to say what I want to say, I'll say what I want to say. But this situation, this reporting, if true, oh my goodness, does that not does that not fuel the, potential comment, joke, whatever you want to say about Andrew Schultz with like super fuel? I mean, it just leads right to that. And there's other people that have talked about the Daily Wire being AstroTurf, that spending so much money on ads to get their views up, to doing shorts, to for the views. In other words, they're, if you look at their long form content compared to the when you have like 50,000 views on your long form content and you have over 6 million subscribers, that something's not, exactly, in other words, it goes back to the thing of how influential is Ben Shapiro really? Now, way more than me, but you have a funded operation that, is there or there? Is this Wizard of Oz? Is this, how real is it? How influential? And you had people like Dave Rubin. By the way, Dave's cool. We like Dave. We're cool with Dave, but new to the conservative cause. I'm an OG and everything like that. I mean, it wasn't that long ago Dave Rubin was working for the Young Turks. Was talking about, I was on the PBD podcast saying that, excuse me, something's in my throat. I do apologize to the audience. That basically that I'm gonna have to get Paul in here. So something's in my throat. Paul, go ahead, take over for a second.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is what you said, and I feel the same way. I have never been particularly compelled by Ben Shapiro. And that doesn't mean I don't respect his education. I think he's basically a logical person and can make an argument. But I've always believed that Ben Shapiro was that there was a kind of Wizard of Oz component to his operation and his operation and his own status as a pundit or whatever you want to call it. Look, again, I remember back in the YouTube days and we were going strong and kind of doing our thing. And Ben was always looking for team ups. He was always looking for tag team people that could kind of elevate him, like people like Steven Crowder. And eventually, of course, Candace Owens. Why? Because I think Ben understood he wasn't necessarily kind of a main eventer, so to speak. Or maybe he was a champion, like in using WWE terminology. Maybe he was a champion, but not a real serious champion. Maybe he was an intercontinental champion, not the world heavyweight champion type of a level. So I've always felt that was the truth. And I've never, look, I don't listen to a lot of his stuff, so I can't tell you everything about him. I never thought that he was the greatest debater in the world. I mean, he might be okay, he might be solid, but I don't think, I can't sit here and tell you what incredible argument that he's made about any particular issue.
Well, this is the thing, and I'll just step in for a second, and I'll give you the floor. Exactly right. Ben Shapiro does not strike me. We've got some stuff here. I'll pull it up later. As having what they would say main character energy, leading person energy, right? That's just not what it is. And I mean, if you're using WWE type of reference, maybe at best, and I think he's better than this. And I'll actually make this another point that, the Miz versus The Rock, right? I mean, if Tucker Carlson is The Rock, you've got Ben Shapiro as maybe The Miz. Miz was a reality star that kind of worked his way and funked his way into, into WWE. But here's the difference. And I said funk Funk, F-U-N-K, Funk. It just kind of, you know, because he would just kind of style and profile and do stuff like that. Now, I think that the difference between, and I hate using that Miz analogy because here's the difference with the Miz. The Miz got better, a lot better over time. Right? I mean, and even Jake Paul, people talk about, Logan Paul. Logan Paul can do some moves. Logan Paul can actually get in there and work. In other words, he's not just a celeb that's coming in to do a spot. He's actually doing some stuff. The problem that I have with Ben Shapiro is, and this is all relative. First of all, happy he's on our side. Respect his education. Respect his success, happy he's successful, everything like that, more successful than us, you know, all that. Okay. So I'm not trying to be a punk, but I've never thought that, like you said, Paul, he was the best debater, had the best takes, was leading the conversation, was doing any of that stuff. He kind of fit in that realm of like campus reform, Steven Crowder. Hey, I'm going to, I can't get on Fox News. I'm going to go out there and we're going to fight the libs, own the libs on the college campuses. We're the young guys, Jason Matera. And then, Shapiro got himself some funding and stuff like that. And away they went. And it's fantastic. Okay, great. It's capitalism. That's good. But I've never been impressed with what he's done. I'm not saying I'm unimpressed, but I think that there's just on that whole channel, there's just such an overwrought effort in my let me put it away. I'm not alleging anything. It feels like there's such an attempt that we're the intellectuals. We're gonna, we're using the $10 words and everything. Like it's just this word salad trying to overcomplicate things. I think it was Twain or someone else that the gift of communication and the gift of writing is to make things clear, to simplify, not complexify. That's not a real word, but you understand, not make more complex. And what I'm getting at, it's a long way of saying is Miz went from not that great to pretty good, right? Has always been pretty good on the mic. You had the mic skills, above the work, but pretty good. Still not a main event or anything like that, but pretty good. I'm talking like at the, like rock level or, superstar, right? But I think part of the problem here, Paul, is I've seen some of the older clips of Ben Shapiro and some of the newer clips. The sad part of it is I think the Ben Shapiro was better when he was younger. I think he was better coming up. The Ben Shapiro clips now it's a snooze fest, dude. It's very boring. And so you get someone that's up and coming like Candace Owens, who's not towing the Overton window line of the Daily Wire. And it's like, yeah, you want to attach to hot talent, but when that talent is out, could eclipse you. That's a scary proposition. And Candace Owens, we just asked Charlie Kirk. It's not going to hang out. I'm not alleging anything. I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't hang out too long in a place where she feels that she's outgrown. Your comments, Paul. But my main point there is I think Ben Shapiro may have gotten worse, not better. Whereas someone like The Miz has evolved. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, Miz is actually a fairly compelling character. As you said, now a lot of his stuff is from on the mic, but he can pull it off. I mean, look, he's probably like mid 40s now, and he's still doing well. He's still doing good. And I agree with you. He's gotten better. If I had to make a comparison of Ben Shapiro to somebody on the left who I think is kind of, I'm not saying it's a perfect analogy, but kind of somewhat comparable. He's like the Young Turks. They're there. People watch them. They have an audience, but they're not that great. And I just, that's kind of like how I see it. And I agree with what you said is,
I think that's a great analogy, and I'm going to comment on that in a second. Continue.
I think that there is, as you said, an effort to over-intellectualize some of their stuff, and it's boring. I mean, again, the best thing I can tell you, or the most compelling argument I can make is, I don't watch any of those guys' stuff. Why? Because it doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest me. Now, to be fair, I don't watch a lot of things, and I don't watch Candace Owens, but I do watch, Rich Bears, the pollster stuff. I will watch Sean Parnell. There are people I will watch, but I just think when you come to some of the, what they call the conservative Inc. people, a lot of it's just not that interesting. But who I do watch on a very consistent basis is Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker Carlson. I'm interested by Tucker Carlson. I am not interested by Ben Shapiro.
I agree with that. We've got some articles there. Let's put some. I'm going to come back to that. I think a couple of things that you said there are very, very important, very, very interesting, and that's the thing. Like Miz, in my opinion, is still a self-mark, but Miz understands that he can make himself the punchline of the joke to get over. He understands what it is to be a heel. The problem of this is my opinion. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not playing psychologist or anything like that. But my impression, well, let me put it another way. It wouldn't surprise me, in my opinion, if Ben Shapiro maybe not as self-aware, and all those people take themselves too seriously over there. I think, and doesn't understand like where you're at with everything and what it takes to really win and get over. And the Young Turks, I think, take themselves too seriously and stuff. Anna Kasparian finally is starting to make some moves and make some pivots. I think she understands, where it is. You can deliver. You don't have to be the superstar to deliver a phenomenal product. That's the thing. Like there's this guy, who's the guy? The guy, it was, and he's been a lot of things and has done really well with it, but he's not like a main characters kind of guy. The guy that was in Brothers with Will Ferrell, the second guy, and he's been in a lot of stuff like that. Like you wouldn't even know this guy. This guy's a great second guy, and he just, but he knows how to put himself in the right projects in that role and make it work. And it's just, I don't know. It's hard. I'm not really explaining this super well, but the point of it is I feel like they're so fixated. I'm not legend. It wouldn't surprise me if there's such a fixation, such a need to be the star and to be right and the intellectual and own the libs and the super debater and stuff like that, instead of just delivering a great product, instead of being someone that's super effective on the right. And listen, Tucker Carlson, the Tucker Carlson of before, by his own admission, I believe, was a joke compared to the Tucker Carlson of now. Tucker Carlson of before was, they call him Chadsworth. He had the bow tie and he's going to tell you what's up and he's going to interrupt you and it's a right, left, this and that, whatever. The Tucker Carlson of now, hey, I don't know, defers to his guests, lets the guests finish their thoughts, has different things, goes around the world, is open to different things. He's evolved his game. And in some ways, I feel like the Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro maybe has not improved, is not even as good as he was before. And I'm not trying to be a punk. I mean, we need all the talent we can on our side. It's just constructive criticism, if you will. I mean, I'm constantly thinking about, hey, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How's the game changed? Hey, maybe I really need to do this. Maybe we need to pivot the channel. Paul and I constantly talk about different things like that, but that's just something to think about. If you're so fixated on, I got to be this, I got to be this, I got to be this, and I've got to be the star, but you're not, but it's not there. You don't have the product market fit, if you will. Then you got a problem. You need to understand how to reinvent yourself. Madonna, people criticize, but she's reinvented herself how many times, right? And so you have to, and Tucker Carlson was not successful until he reinvented himself. Well, he was successful, but not like this. Not like this. The Rock, we talked about how the Rock came in there. Oh, I'm the star. I'm this. I'm the face. I'm going to get over. I'm pushing Cody Rhodes. Didn't work. Then the fans said no. He had to switch. Boom. I'm going heel. I'm doing final boss. And now he's bigger than ever. Bigger than ever. Okay. Let's talk about this. So then you're a Daily Wire, New York Post. Okay. Quote, headline, this is from the New York Post. Let's re-up it again. And this was the article again from Ariel Zilber. Quote, the right-leaning news and commentary site Daily Wire obtained a gag order against former host Candace Owens despite founder Ben Shapiro claiming he wanted to publicly debate her about Israel. Okay. And it goes on here and they go back and forth. And then, this was broken by, quote, wrote Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Glenn Greenwald in his local's newsletter on Thursday. All right. Now they go back and forth here and they're talking about some different things. But then you had Jeremy Boring, okay, who is the Daily Wire CEO. Quote, Boring told Greenwald that his report is, quote, is inaccurate to the point of being false, unquote. Okay, so Daily Wire is denying that somehow. I don't know. The Post article goes on. He did not elaborate. Okay. And then, quote, I'm sure you can appreciate how fraught a high-profile breakup like this is. For that reason, we are trying to resolve our issues with Candace privately. Boring is quoted telling Greenwald. And then, quote, Owens told Greenwald she can neither confirm nor deny his report. So who knows? But a lot of people are running with this. A lot of people are saying, hey, Greenwald's not going to run with this unless he was, pretty sure about this or got it from the right source. So I don't know. I mean, that take that as it is. Paul, what do you think? What are people saying about this? Let's spin it. We've got 2 minutes here. What are people talking about this? How damaging to Candace, the Daily Wire? What do you think? Let me put it another way. What do you think is the impact out there from a PR standpoint on the various participants here?
It's a very negative PR impact for Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. Let me just say this too. Glenn Greenwald is a very good reporter. I'm not saying he's never missed a story, but he hadn't missed many of them. I'll just say that. And second of all, with Ben Shapiro, I know you are familiar with this person from sports, from ESPN, formerly Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons is a talented man, does podcasts, does different things. When he tried to do a TV show on ESPN, he failed over and over and over again. Why? Because he's not a front man. That's how I view Ben Shapiro.
That's interesting. That's actually a pretty good analogy. That's probably even a better analogy. Absolutely. I mean, Ben Shapiro has been very, very successful business-wise and politically wise. And again, you just have to, but you don't want to be the producer or the director that always cast yourself if that's not right for the role. So I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about 3 segments down, 1 more to go, lots more to talk about. We got to talk about Tom Brady and the greatest roast of all time. We'll talk about that next segment. This is John G. Villarreal Show here on Newstalk 1040, live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Be right back at you 6 minutes.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Hamas terrorist group says it has accepted the Egyptian-Qatari ceasefire proposal to halt the 7-month war with Israel. Hours later, Israeli leaders approved a military operation into the southern Gaza Strip city of Rafah, and Israeli forces were striking targets in the area. The judge presiding over Donald Trump's hush money trial fined him $1,000 on Monday and warned of jail time for future gag order violations, while jurors heard testimony for the first time about the financial reimbursements at the center of the case. Columbia University is canceling its university-wide commencement ceremony following weeks of pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel protests. On Wall Street, the Dow by 176 points. The Nasdaq rose 192. This is SRN News.
This is a red alert for hardworking Americans who are tired of seeing their freedoms and retirement savings threatened by the globalist agenda. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to find whistleblowers who are exposing these schemes. Real patriotic financial warriors like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry. They're not afraid to tell it like it is and fight back against the system. Now, with the 2024 election storming our way, your IRA and your 401k may be in the crosshairs. That's why we've compiled our 3 favorite ideas into our Election Protection Report. You definitely won't hear any of these in the mainstream news. Get your free copy of our Election Protection Report now. Just text TRUTH to 76626. Plus, today you'll also get a free gold investment kit from our sponsor, Augusta Precious Metals. Text TRUTH to 76626 now and get the free report and gold investment kit. The fight for your financial freedom is on. Text the word TRUTH to 76626.
Standard text and data rates may apply.
Newstalk 1040 Tampa Bay weather forecast.
And good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alan Archer, Newstalk 1040, WHBO's Weather Center forecast. The weather stands pretty quiet here this week. Once again, we got that big heat dome nearby, and the result, fair to partly sunny skies for today all the way through Thursday, with only a 10% chance of a stray afternoon or evening thunder shower, while highs are running daily at around 90. For overnight lows tonight are falling off at around 73. It looks like towards the end of the week, though, a cold front tries to make its way in here on Friday with a 20% chance of a thunder shower, left less humid and a little cooler on Saturday. I'm in a new storm system Sunday night with heavier showers and storms in Newstalk 1040 WHBO.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Lang of the Lang Eye Institute and Fortify Vitamins. I'm also a syndicated talk show host of Ask the Doctor. I've been working on a supplement that may benefit the young and the old. I understand how difficult it can be to find that perfect muscle and energy fuel. This is why I developed Fortify Fit Pro. Unlike most others on the market, this is stimulant-free, carbohydrate.
What's up, everyone? It's me, John D. Villarreal, the John D. Villarreal radio show here on Newstalk 1040. Last segment, 5 o'clock hour. May 6th, everybody. We're also live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Unbelievable. We're also joined by Paul at Villarreal, and we're talking about a lot of stuff. We got to talk about Tom Brady. We got to talk about the greatest quarterback in the game, okay? And, some have said, hey, is he getting ready for a comeback? Who knows what's going to happen? Is he out for good? We had the roast, Netflix. Netflix is doing more sports stuff. I don't know if Netflix is taking a turn to the center. I would never say to the right, but, a lot of people have criticized. And, in fact, Dana White was, there's a lot that I'm not going to be able to get into here on the Netflix special. It absolutely was. It was a roast. It was hosted by Kevin Hart, and it definitely was adult type of situations very much. We've got right here, and I've got to be very careful here as I try to put some stuff up on the screen here. This is a Los Angeles Times Let's see. I'm not gonna go too deep into it here. We will talk about. There's also winners and losers here, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Okay. So we've got the LA Times here. Quote, headline, here's the joke that crossed the line for Tom Brady during his Netflix roast. And I believe this was about, and they called it the greatest roast of all time, Tom Brady. Tom Brady put on by Netflix. Tom Brady was looking sharp. He had the glasses. He had the whole thing right here. You had some ESPN people out there, or former ESPN people. I think Rich Eisen was kind of commentating or something like that. You had so many stars there. It wasn't even funny. And here's the thing. This is by Chuck Shilkin. Okay. Tom Brady was a great sport Sunday night. He endured jokes about his divorce, business decisions, love life, multiple retirements, former teammates, his ex-wife, his healthy lifestyle, and much more. All the smile on his face. And that was just in the first 20 minutes of the roast on Tom Brady. This was unbelievable. This thing was just really crazy. And it was actually streamed live. So that was really, and we had some other things going on. I wanted to see that, but I've definitely seen some of it. I can't wait to watch the rest of it. I'm not going to go further into this because I think I know where so I just want to be, so what a great situation. Now, of course, here in the Tampa Bay area, we know Tom Brady has brought home a Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Bucks, him and Gronk. I mean, such great football memories, so many things that were happening over at Raymond James Stadium and everything like that. Now, we also have more information on this. We have an article here by, I'm going to bring it up here, Ian Castleberry and Jason Owens from Yahoo Sports, and we'll see what we think about this. Let's share this on the screen here. Tom Brady roasts winners and losers. Okay. And let's see what we think about this here. We've got here. Okay. We've got winner Bill Belichick. Okay. So we've got some of that. Okay. And then we've got we've got some okay, hold on a second. We've got some, this is some highlights. One second. Okay, no. I got the right. Okay. Here we go. Winners and losers on it. Yeah, some people are talking about that right now. I mean, everyone's talking about this. It's a big one right here. Okay, winner Bill Belichick. Okay, and it says the Bill Belichick redemption tour continues. This is by Darren Hartwell. Okay, and the headline is Tom Brady roasts winners and losers from cathartic night for Patriots. And we have Bill Belichick right here. We've got the and this is what it says: winner Bill Belichick, and he's talked about. Quote, I'm so honored to be here for the roast of Tom Brady on Netflix. It's not to be confused with the roast of Bill Belichick on the 10-part Apple TV series. And then he's talking about basically, quote, calling out his portrayal on the Apple TV series, the docuseries, The Dynasty. I think that's a lot of people are doing, like, how the Jordan did The Last Dance and different things like that. Loser Danny Amendola. So I've got to watch that. Winner Rodney Harrison. So it goes on here about winners and losers and some different things like that. Paul, what's your take on this? There's been a lot of people talking about this. And what do you think about this Brady roast?
Look, everything, and I've seen clips from it, and it was trending huge yesterday on X at night. I thought the clips that I saw were hilarious. I thought it was funny.
So funny.
I thought it was a big event. It almost felt like an award show or something. I mean, this was held in the LA Forum, that's where the Lakers used to play.
Yes.
So this is like a 15.
There were some jokes about that too. There were jokes about everything.
Yeah, this is like a 15 to 18,000 seat arena, and it was packed. And so you had a bunch of celebrities there. As you said, the people roasting Brady, the people in the crowd, Dana White, all bunch of people. And it was fun. Like, it was good. Sometimes many people have seen these different roasts on Comedy Central. Some of them just aren't that funny. This was 3 hours, which is very long. And what I saw of it, it was funny. It was funny. And Tom Brady is still, as you said, being the GOAT and everything, he's still relevant. He's still
very much
newly retired. So it was just, I thought it went really well. I think you mentioned Netflix doing more, possibly sports. I think they have a deal, and they just inked a deal with the WWE. So they are going more into sports and sports entertainment type of stuff. So this fits right with that.
It's very interesting.
Let me just say something.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say this real quickly. If they're with WWE, that means they're with what is that? TKO, which of course
UFC
is Dana White.
That's right, Dana
and the
White.
UFC. And Tom Brady is a part owner, I believe, in the UFC.
There you go.
So that's the whole link there.
And Dana White had a shot at Netflix. We're not gonna get into this. I mean, again, there's almost nothing we can say on the air live here about this roast. Now, but there was a couple good lines. I'm gonna get this wrong and butcher it, and I really apologize to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart led this thing off, and I think the roast master was Jeff Ross. And there was an interesting situation there in regards to Tom Brady and Jeff Ross, in regards to Patriots owner Robert Kraft. Now, some people said, hey, Tom Brady really respects Robert Kraft. Others think, well, this was kind of really a setup work situation. This was a setup, is a pre-set up to do something in this way. I don't know. Who knows? Look at it. I kind of feel it kind of looked to me like it was set up, but I think Tom sold it well. But I could be, who knows? I mean, it just, we'll see. And something was quote unquote caught on a hot mic, but of course the mic's on, like, come on, like, but anyway, it definitely the whole thing was really well done. I'm not saying start to finish. There are some losers here. We'll talk about Kim Kardashian. She got booed. We will talk about that here in a second, but Kevin Hart, I mean, this just gives you the tenor of it. I'm talking about how great Brady was and everything, and winning 7 Super Bowls and wanting to come back, and he got divorced because his wife didn't understand how much football meant to him and everything like that. And he's like, of course, I'm going to get this wrong. I'm not going to deliver the joke right. It's a very rough, bad paraphrase of Kevin Hart's joke, and I would definitely refer you to that. It was a funny joke. It was like, this is the greatest of all time. Of course, he's got to, go after an 8th Super Bowl. All it's going to cost you is your wife and kids. and you just saw like Randy Moss and some of the linemen's face. It's just like, I mean, and he delivered it much better, like 100 times better, and way more devastating. And you could just see the faces, like, and he was basically like, hey, get comfortable because we're just getting started. This is just the beginning. And Kevin Hart just was devastating. So it was unbelievable. Now, who wasn't devastating, apparently, was Kim Kardashian. And Kim Kardashian here, according to Yahoo Sports, was, quote, loser Kim Kardashian. Quote, why was Kardashian at Brady's roast, you asked? Apparently, many in attendance had the same question. Quote, Kardashian was the only roaster who was loudly booed when she took the stage, to the point where host Kevin Hart had to tell the audience to stop and didn't really contribute much during her brief set. So they're saying Kim Kardashian's a loser. I mean, Paul, did you hear anything about the Kardashian thing? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I did hear stuff about the Kardashian angle of this. Look, I mean, not everybody's a Kim Kardashian or a Kardashian clan fan. I get that, whatever. What's, I think, most surprising to me about this is her home turf. This is in LA. If this happened in like Cleveland, Ohio or something, okay. But I was a little bit surprised that it happened in Los Angeles. So that kind of shocked me a little bit. I mean, look, the Kardashians, they're very successful, and all credit to them for that and everything. But, to some degree, they're polarizing. And I mean, unfortunately, the world is very polarized right now. So you do have a lot of that. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that.
But what I like about it is
what?
They've got big fan base, social media cred. It's cool to get all kinds of different people in the room. And this just shows what a big event it was. You had all kinds of people there. You had, Kevin Hart was there. Randy Moss was there. Bill Belichick was there. Kraft was there. Jeff Ross was there. You had so many different people there. It was not even fun. Now, they say here that the winners were the Patriots fans. That, quote, Brady and Belichick both declared their mutual respect for one another after training many good-natured barbs, and that basically the whole dynasty, there was some drama and some infighting, and they show a picture here of basically Belichick and Brady. Kraft and Belichick basically, toasting to each other. And so, I think that was kind of cool. You had
I want to say,
they were,
this
on
is the
stage
greatest
up there, and they're kind of cheering each other and stuff. And, I could see for the fans, if you're a Patriot fan, you really love that because, listen, the glory days, if you will, back in New England were when Belichick was coach and Brady was the QB. So that's a big deal. So, yeah, I mean, I think that you had Drew Bledsoe there and everything. You know, a lot of stuff going on that stage. And I think that a lot of fans really, really were digging it if you're a Tom Brady fan, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned Bledsoe because I didn't see this whole thing, but I saw one of the clips and he had a really good line. Of course, if people don't know, Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback that was playing ahead of Tom Brady, who got hurt in a game, and basically Brady took over and Bledsoe never got his job back, essentially. So that's what happened with that. And Brady actually had a really good joke about that I'm not going to tell right now because it kind of involves another event. But Bledsoe was up there, and one of the lines that he had was, yeah, Tom, you've done great. You have all the rings and everything, and Bledsoe has no rings. And he said, but there's two things I have that you'll never have. First, I was a number 1 overall pick, and of course, Brady was famously passed over until the 6th round.
6th round, right.
And he said the other thing is, oh, yeah, I just celebrated my 28th wedding anniversary. You'll never have that.
Oh, my God.
Like you said, and this is the tenor of what was going on
It
here.
was rough.
But it was all in good fun. I told you this off the air, but I was just going to repeat it because it's such a funny line. One of the people that did the best in terms of as a roaster was a comic. I believe her name is Nicole Glazer. And one of the lines that she had about Brady was he said, yeah, here's Tom. Tom, did you know Tom lost $30 million in crypto? And then she said, and then she goes, and of course, this plays off of kind of a caricature of Rob Gronkowski, nicknamed Gronk, who is kind of supposed to be the kind of the lovable lunkhead type of thing. And so she goes, yeah, Tom lost $30 million in crypto. And she's like, how did that happen, Tom? It's like, even Gronk knew me know that fake money.
My God. I've got the quote right here.
And everybody loved it.
I've got the quote right here. This is here's a quote right here. Quote, Tom lost 30 million in crypto. Tom, how'd you fall for that, Glazer asked. Even Gronk was like, quote, me know that not real funny. I can't even do the line without laughing. It's terrible. It's terrible.
That was amazing.
Okay. So great. Okay. So what's the overall effect of this? I mean, you've got Tom very relevant out there in the pop culture. Do you think that he plays one more year, or is he going the full executive route like Rock and some others? He's obviously, in the Miami area here in Florida. What do you expect as the future for Tom Brady?
Look, there are people out there that still think he could come back for one more season. Now, I don't know where he would go. I don't know. I mean, there's been talk before about going to the Las Vegas Raiders. We talked about him going to the Dolphins. Of course, that may have been something that was supposed to happen, and that kind of got messed up.
Right.
Look, if you look at Tom, he looks in great shape.
He does.
And people around him that have trained him and worked with him said his arm's still amazing. He could be throwing the football in his 50s. So if he wanted to do it, he could still do it. I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know, but I think that that door would be open for him if he wanted to go somewhere. And what I was told was that the reason why he stepped away when he did was he was just tired of taking the hits. He was tired of taking the hits on a team that he didn't feel at that moment in time was a real championship contender. So, that's a very painful sport if you're just sitting back there getting hit by 300-pound guys play after play after play.
Well, and the thing is that to your point, absolutely no question about, like, if you're Tom Brady, there's no way you play again unless you really believe you can contend for a Super Bowl. But we do have in the last Super Bowl here the whole Dung Kings promotion and commercial stuff, and you have Tom Brady who with Ben Affleck and oh man, why am I blanking? Who's the other guy? Matt Damon, of course. Matt Damon of course of the what was it called? What was the big thing they did? Not Rounders. That was the other one, but it was the Goodwill Hunting of fame and everything like that. And you see Tom here doing a little throw in there, and he still has it. And he was just nailing the throws and everything like that. And they were showing some outtakes of Ben Affleck trying and Tom just crushing it. And he definitely looks like he's in good shape and still has a tight spiral and all that type of stuff. Now, what will happen from there? Who knows? I mean, but do you think what's your sort of probability? You think there's a 50% chance, 20% chance, 10% chance, 0% chance we see Tom lace up the cleats again for a Super Bowl for an NFL team?
If I had to guess right now, I'd say maybe like 15%.
1-5 or 5-0? 1-5 or 5-0?
1-5.
Yeah.
I think because he's still capable of doing it. He's super competitive, meaning he'd love to win another ring. Of course. I mean, that's like Kevin Hart said. So if there was a situation where he felt like he could kind of come on in and do that, yeah, I think he'd be very tempted to take that. Problem is, I don't know if that situation is going to present itself.
And you know what? Honestly, it's thinking about this for a second, and this is maybe going to be a sort of a strange idea. I mean, I just thought about this, and football doesn't really do this, but I don't know why they don't do this. Honestly, you look at baseball and even basketball, and you'll have teams that make moves for championship reasons. You will have pinch hitters. You'll have relievers. You'll have people that are being traded. You'll have movements on a team getting ready for the NBA playoffs and stuff like that. Like, instead of being that, a starting QB that takes all his hits, that has to go on the road, that has to do all these things, what about having Tom Brady as your amazing, and I don't know if Tom Brady could do it for his ego, but having him as that awesome backup QB, having him as that second option, or really becoming the first option. Like, I could just think about when Dallas was playing and they had Tony Romo, and there's so many teams that we thought were going to go we're Dallas fans, thought we were going to go all the way to the Super Bowl, but somehow, some way, Romo really was, and we love Romo, great commentator, just wasn't that effective in the playoffs. What if you had someone like Tom Brady that is Mr. Playoffs, that is Mr. Super Bowl? So you have a Romo or someone else that can take you up through that, and you're gonna have to have a strong GM and a strong coach that kind of deliver this message. But then you have another option here. You have someone you could throw in there. You have someone like a Lamar Jackson, or that can do the scramble, a certain kind of a run and shoot type of offense. And then you put in a Tom Brady, defenses wouldn't know what to do. You would have a hard time scheming against that, because you have two totally different looks, two totally effective but different looks in there. And that's the thing. You wouldn't know what to prepare for. That, I think, could be a very interesting way for Tom to kind of position himself potentially for that 8th ring without taking all the hits and all the damage that a full NFL season would entail. What's your take on that, Paul?
Yeah. Hey, look, we saw a situation somewhat kind of similar to that when the 49ers had both Steve Young and Joe Montana.
Correct.
And I mean, you had two completely different styles, and, both of them were great. Of course, Young was still developing when Montana was at his best. Yeah, I could see that work. Or what you could do, put them on a team like a Tennessee, where they are featured with the running back Derrick Henry basically is the offense. He can carry you most of the season. Then you bring Tom in. The only thing you'd have to be able to do is Tom would have to be able to work with the receivers through the year.
Get the timing.
So even if he's not the starter, let him get chemistry with the group so that when you do bring him in, he is ready. Look, I think it could work. And if anybody could make it work, it would be somebody like Brady.
Yes.
I could see that.
Very, very interesting. Okay, we do not have a lot of time left here. We got about 4 or 5 minutes left, and we kind of went a little bit politics light on this, but that's fine. That's not a problem. Lots to talk about here. The economy. I mean, you've got a lot of things here on Usual Rails. Ken Griffin of Citadel said the default cycle is going to happen again. You've got rates going up. I think PBD was talking about this, and Vincent and the team over there, the home team, was talking about how the average, a lot of the mortgages are at 8% now. Google's laying off people or have laid off people. Thing here, 4 in 10 renters say that they don't believe they'll ever own a home, up nearly a quarter from last year. I mean, this is really crazy, right? I mean, 40 million families or 29% of the population have jobs but struggle to cover basic needs per CNBC. I mean, it's getting really bad out there. How bad do you think this economy is right now, Paul?
It's bad. And something else, like another one of the economic analysis sites on Twitter basically put it like this. Look, the stock market's doing well. You think everything looks good. The problem is there's a crisis in affordability. So it's inflation, it's rent, it's these types of things. Again, I live in central Pennsylvania, not far from Penn State College. It's a moderate, it's not a high income place. Okay. So people here, they just don't have the money. They just do not have the money to be able to afford where things are right now. And what I'm seeing around here and in the whole state of Pennsylvania, which of course is a key swing state, is the food bank need is through the roof, and they're having trouble handling the demand. So there are people doing well in this economy, and the stock market's doing great. For the average person or the middle of the road person or the low income person, they're getting crushed right now. I see it everywhere.
We're also talking about some quote unquote dueling polls out there. You've got now, I mean, we're going to get into the silly season. We're going to see some silly polls, in my opinion. You've got, and I'm not alleging anything, but if you look at, if you look at the difference between, and this is, and Real Clear Politics, I think they've got some polling initiative thing where basically like, look, you've got these polls that said X, and then you have the political voting result that was very different. We need to get these polls right. And even, some other people have said that in the polling space as well. But you've got right now Marist, and there is a margin of error, and there's different methodologies, of course. But you've got Marist that has Biden +5, ABC's got Biden +4, Rasmussen's got Trump +10. Okay, where do you think we are in the polls right now for Paul?
Well, again, Richard Barris, the pollster I lean on a lot, has basically said the other day that the Rasmussen isn't far off. And he basically kind of poked some holes in the ABC poll this morning, and he's never been a fan of Marist. So I'm not saying that it's a 10-point race right now, but I think Trump is in a pretty good position overall. And for Biden to win the Electoral College, I think he's going to need to win the popular vote by around 4 points. So I think Trump is in a good spot today.
Yeah, I think that's right. If we look here on Real Clear Politics, you've got combined polls. You've got Trump up 1.1 percentage points, and Trump has typically exceeded, Republicans have typically exceeded the polling percentage. And if you look at the electoral, I think that it's a much larger electoral gap on that one. You've got Trump. I think they're saying no talk updates. Trump 312, Biden 2.6. Hey, this is the John D. Villarreal radio show here on Newstalk 1040 AM. We appreciate you spending your time with us. We're also live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Have a great week. Thanks so much. Stay blessed. We'll see you next week, everybody.